and welcome back to the Shoogly Shed Motors Workshop. This is an episode, I don't know yet because I haven't started it, but I think it might be a first of a few in a saga. But basically I'm hoping to modify the petrol tank next. So the petrol tank on this is just stock standard, but what I want to do to it is change the fuel cap. Now, if I don't know if a few of my followers also follow BJ Brickhouse Builds and know that he also did this in one of his builds. He switched out the fuel cap. He went for like a flush mount pop-up one, I think. But essentially cutting out the old one and replacing it unleashed a whole can of worms and a whole number of problems for him. So learning from his hardship, I am about to throw caution to the wind and have a go myself. The one thing I'm kind of concerned about is the fact that BJ did TIG weld his tank, and I only have a MIG welder. Now, TIG welding is obviously really it's quite detailed and quite like precise and quite accurate, whereas MIG welding is much more sort of violent, messy process. And when you're talking about welding what is effectively very thin metal, that could get problematic very quickly. So in order to try and avoid such issues, I want to hopefully cut out this, get an idea for the gauge of the steel that the tank's made out of, and then try and do some practice, which is not like me. Usually I don't practice. Usually I just jump straight in and learn as I go. But I think in this instance it's worthwhile doing a little bit of welding of thin metal and see if I can dial in my settings so that I get the best shot at this possible. So the standard petrol fuel cap on this bike is these kind of sport style flush mount ones that sit in this recess in the tank. I've taken that out already. What I'm going to go for is one of these. I think they're called like Monza style. You get them on like classic British bikes, Nortons and BSAs and things like that. Effectively it's just, hang on if I can do it. Oh, there's the rubber O-ring. Drop it in the tank. Yeah, you do that to release it and it just pops down like that. It's vented, so there's no need for the drain pipe that you get in these. Basically, because these are flush mounted and they've got this kind of well here, if rainwater gets into them, it's got to go somewhere. So there's basically a hole in there that runs into a pipe internally in the tank and comes out the underside of the tank. I think it's also, if you overfill your tank with fuel, it can drain off. I think that's some of the idea. Anyway, the point is, that's another hurdle I'm going to have to jump because I'm going to have to block that pipe off somehow. But this is a little bit more sort of old school style of petrol cap. But it's quite nice. I actually ordered this from India. I didn't realise I was ordering it from India when I ordered it, but it just turned up today actually from India, from Delhi. So thanks India. It comes with this. So this is made of aluminium, this is made of steel. This is basically a weld-in bung, I think you maybe call it, or neck. Effectively, it's the right pitch threads for the fuel cap to screw onto, like so. And if you've welded this into the tank, then effectively that's your fuel cap. Now, welding this in should be the easy bit, because if you try and make the hole that this is going into as close or as tight as possible, the weld should be fairly neat and round, and that will seal it up as best you need it. The more difficult thing I think is repairing the tank after I cut this one out. So that's basically where I'm at just now, is trying to decide the best way to do that, and you know what's going to give me the easiest, no, the best chance of doing a good job at this. That's annoying. That was quite literally about an inch, maybe even more, of body filler hiding what can only be described as an absolute mess. So, I don't think it's worth binning this tank, but it does give me a lot more work with regards to the finishing at the end of this. I mean, holy crap, it is. It's in a state. I think the only thing to do here is to take this to get shot blasted and get all the paint and all the filler off of it and just see what I'm working with, because to replace this tank with a second hand one you're talking 150-200 pounds. I'd rather not spend that money, so if I can get it blasted clean then I can make a real assessment of whether or not it's worth trying to save it. I think it is worth trying to save it, that's my current assessment. Considering I'm going to do this work with the fuel cap anyway, yeah, I think it's worth getting this cleaned at least, and then we can get a real assessment of what's going on. I mean, I've never seen so much filler. It's unbelievable, it must have been tubs of this stuff. Anyway, it's it is what it is, isn't it? So at the end of the day, we're gonna get it fixed up somehow. This bike, honestly. Right, so I got the tank back from sandblasting the other day, and as you can see, not much more than I had already revealed myself, thankfully. The rest of the tank seems in reasonable condition. A couple of wee dings here and there, but nothing serious. It really is just this side that is mine. Pretty bad. So, I did say that I was planning to replace the fuel cap, and that is actually going to play into my advantage, because the only other way to try and sort these dents would be like a slide hammer to try and pull them out, or cutting a hole in the bottom of the tank and bashing them out from the inside. But seeing as I'm going to be cutting a hole in the top anyway, I'm going to try cutting a hole in the top of the tank and going in and bashing them out that way. That's essentially my plan. I can't really think of any other way of going about this, and at the end of the day the tank is the condition it's in, so I can't really make it much worse, can I? It's worth a bash. Literally worth a bash. Well, they've got a big hole in the tank now. I also cut out the vent pipe and the drain pipe. Basically, if you've never looked at one of these before, there's a sort of drain here. Because these are sort of recessed fuel caps, if rain gets past it, it gathers in this kind of guttering trough here. and then it will go down one of these pipes and out the bottom of your tank, and so you're not getting water inside your tank. Then you also get that nice sort of smooth profile at the top of the tank. But then also you've got the other one, which is a vent pipe. Basically, as fuel leaves your tank, it needs to be replaced with air from above. Otherwise you obviously would draw a vacuum in your tank and then you would have fuel starvation issues. So that's the point of these pipes, is one's to drain and one's to vent the tank. The advantage of the new sort of Manx style that I'm putting on is that it's kind of domed and covered, so there's no way of rain getting in, therefore it doesn't need a drain. It also has a hole in the diaphragm which vents it for you, and so basically both of those pipes aren't needed. So I've cut them out, which obviously left a couple more holes in the bottom of the tank here that will need welded up, but that's okay, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. The more pressing issue, or shall I say depressing issue, full of the jokes, is this. So I'm hoping to try and get in from here and try and pop this out as best I can, try and mirror the shape somewhat with this side, and then the rest is just going to have to be body work and filler and things like that to get us over the mark. Either way, that was kind of the big first scary step, is just committing to cutting that out. It's done now, so yeah, if I'm ever going to use this tank again, I'm going to have to complete this. I bought this quite cheap panel beating set. So basically this cost me like 30 quid or something like that. But it's essentially got a few dollies and like panel beating hammers. The finish on them isn't great, but I suppose if you're wanting to use these for like fine car body work or something like that, you might want something a bit better quality. But for what I'm hoping to achieve with the tank, they should hopefully do nicely. Lots of different shaped dollies for like holding in and then bashing over, and or you can even bash a little bit with these. Never done any panel beating before in my life, so no time like the present to learn, eh? I suppose it's just trial and error, isn't it? Don't know till you try. Okay, so that's basically the profile it should be. I've brought out, it's hard to see on camera really, but I've brought out this massive crater. The bit I'm really struggling with is this top sort of section, because it does, as you see from the original shape, it does kind of come up that curve, that slope like that. I'm finding it difficult to replicate that without like just knocking the whole thing smooth. So I think what I'm going to do is probably try do a little bit more work on it, and then fix the rest of that with filler. It should be a lot less filler than what was on it, but I think basically there's a limit to what I can do here. Maybe there's not, maybe there's a better technique that I'm not employing. If there is and you know all about it, let me know, that would be helpful. But essentially I want to get as much of this knocked out as possible before I seal up this hole with the new fuel cap. Anyway, I'm going to probably just do that from time to time, just chip away, knocking this out. I guess that's part one of the predicted saga over. Hey, you know, this bike is just throwing up challenges, and that's what I wanted. I wanted challenges, didn't I? You know, I'd be just disappointed if this was too easy. Anyway, as usual, please do like, comment and subscribe to the Shoogly Shed channel. I'll see you in the next one, hopefully. Take care, goodbye.